Folly down.
Welcome back to Folly Town. I am your host, Fables. This is the show where we talk about corporations absolutely destroying themselves, and they never fail to disappoint in dying. Like this video right now, or Ash is gonna read from the Necronomicon inside your house. You're cooked, Deadite. In today's video, the gaming industry is absolutely falling apart. The government is now backing PlayStation. Morons who destroyed their fan bases are finally getting fired. But then they just replace them with the same types of people over and over again. They never learn. Let's get it on. Starting off with background NPC talking about how the game industry is absolutely failing right now. Well, mostly just the AAA and corpos.
It's a little hard to believe that just a few weeks ago, we were coming off of the whole summer showcase season, all feeling pretty good about things. Trailers for days, big reveals, everybody hyped, the sun was shining, the birds were chirping. I looked away for 5 minutes, and when I looked back, the entire AAA industry was on fire. I won't lie to you, it has been kind of a challenge trying to keep up with all of it these past couple weeks. I had to break the screen time limit I set on my phone and give in to my chronically online self once more, because in the span
I hate it whenever somebody's on my side, damn it. All right, I had to move. Let's get back into it.
Of what feels like a single week, we got historic layoffs, studio closures,
Hell
developers
yeah, we did.
going on strike, Sony deciding that right now was the perfect time to announce they are killing physical discs, Xbox getting up in front of everyone to admit they blew $20 billion and are now scrambling to right the ship. And then somehow through all of this, Nintendo is just standing off to the side with suspiciously good behavior. After basically losing the Power World patent war, they immediately pivot to announcing an Ocarina of Time remake, giving staff in Japan further raises, and adding
W Nintendo, I guess, for being the least shitty right now.
New maps to Mario Kart World for free. Which, does that finally make the game worth $80? No. But it is a nice gesture. Sometimes when something catches fire, all it does is destroy. But every now and then, from the ashes, something better rises. So with that, let's dive in. You know how storage prices have been absolutely through the roof? Well, the RAM cartel, aka Samsung SK Hynix.
I love that we're actually calling it that. We're calling it how it is now. All of these companies, and companies like them, people need to stop defending them. They don't love you. All of these freaks are fucking evil.
And Micron, who between the three of them make up something like 90% of the world's memory, just got hit with a class action lawsuit. The suit basically says that they have all been in cahoots to choke the supply and drive the prices up. Funnily enough, 2 of those 3 have already pled guilty to doing this exact same thing back in 2005.
Wow.
Very interesting. And speaking of finding new ways to squeeze people, EA announced an entirely new advertising division, an actual department built from the ground up specifically
I saw that Angry Joe was very angry about this.
To sell brands ad space inside of their games, which is kind of wild because EA has been telling us it's in the game for 30 years now. We all just assumed that they were talking about the football. It has been a historic week for both the industry and separately for Gooners. Marvel Rivals dropped a Captain America summer skin that I am pretty sure has already gotten nerfed at this point. But then Fortnite went and added jiggle physics back into the game for the first time in, 8 years or something, so it's kind of a wash, but as we all know, Gooners united are never divided. Now, it has been a minute since we have talked about Stop Killing Games on this channel, but they have unfortunately had a rough couple of weeks. First, they got let down by the EU Commission, and then again by the state of California, who...
Yeah, fuck them. Not Stop Killing Games. I love Stop Killing Games, but fuck the government, fuck the corporations. If they don't want to meet our demands, then we're just gonna do it ourselves. They are literally competing with free. They are competing with piracy. If you can't come up with a better service than free and open, like I can just move files however I want, make physical discs all I want, then you're fucked. Good luck.
Who halted the Protect Our Games bill, but they are still out there fighting the good fight for digital games consumer rights, so I am still very much rooting for them. Although now, on top of that, they've also got to fight people on Twitter, because they shouted out a few creators the other day who have been big supporters of the movement, and one of those creators was Asmongold, and, well, you can probably imagine how some people on there have responded. On another note, Black Myth Wukong is getting a full global...
They're gonna be against it just because people that they don't like are for it. They're a bunch of fucking evil freaks.
concert, which is honestly really cool. My only question is whether that cute little baby Buddha is going to be there. Meanwhile, the Odyssey is continuing to get heavily ratioed on its latest trailer. Yes, I did do my part.
Dude, I made some posts about this. I made an AI post about in another timeline we would have had Ellen Page as Helen of Troy, and dude, people lost their fucking minds. It was one of the most engaged posts that I've ever made.
And I also learned recently that the official tie-in game for this movie is on Roblox. So between that and the sold-out IMAX tickets,
Dude, of course it's on fucking Roblox. When is everybody gonna realize that all these corporations are connected? They do the same shit because they're making money off of each other. And they all say, it's for the children, it's for the children. That's why we have to make all these changes that fuck everybody. But then they make exceptions for places like Discord and Roblox, which are known to be the worst. The absolute worst. They're evil. They want bad things to happen. They want you to feel like you're going insane. Because then you're not paying attention to what they're actually doing behind the scenes. Which is fucking destroying everything. And if you don't think that that's what they're all about by now, then it's just gonna keep getting worse. And honestly, I think it's too late. I think these freaks have done it. I think they actually destroyed everything. But they can't win. Because just because they can destroy everything doesn't mean we're gonna stop creating. We just will stop consuming the shit that keeps getting destroyed. Which is their own shit. So, fuck them, I guess.
Genuinely do not know who this movie is supposed to be for. The last time I sat in a theater for a Christopher Nolan movie that wasn't Barbenheimer was Inception, which, when you think about it, is exactly what he is trying to do to me right now, planting the idea somewhere deep in my subconscious that this movie is somehow going to be good. And finally, Final Fantasy XIV is now handing Japanese players a giant in-game dog for paying their real-life taxes, and I do have to say that is hands down the cutest, most effective tax campaign I probably have ever seen in my life. Pay your taxes, get it.
But I don't like whenever government shit gets involved with my video games. I don't like real life shit in my video games. I don't want to think about it. I hate it. I hate it so much.
Big dog, the IRS could never. Speaking of taxes coming due, we have to talk about Xbox. Huge historic layoffs were announced yesterday. This is the most massive, brutal restructure in the entire history of the company. They are cutting 3,200 employees through fiscal year.
I love to watch them crumble.
Year 2027, and 1,600 of those people are getting let go immediately. Getting into what we know and what Asha, the new CEO, shared with everyone, they are straight up offloading a bunch of their own game studios that they previously bought because, in their words, they have realized Xbox is...
All the people that said that things weren't that bad, look at where we're at now. The chuds were right all along!
Not the best home for every type of studio, which is just a very polished way of saying we spent a fortune collecting all of these teams and we don't want to play with them anymore. We told them. Double Fine,
we said it, but people just labeled us as haters instead of critics.
The Psychonaut Studio and Compulsion, who just...
If you're not officially a critic, then your opinions don't matter. Your facts don't matter. Well, the facts were still facts.
To put out South of Midnight are both getting told to go be independent again while getting to keep their IPs, which I actually think is really cool of Xbox. But Ninja Theory, the Hellblade team, plus Undead Labs, who have not put out a game in the last 8 years, are getting sold off to brand new owners who have not been named yet. On top of all of this, they are being even more transparent about...
They're gonna get stripped down and sold off, guaranteed.
The whole thing by confessing previously that they blew $20 billion over the past 5 years and are effectively bleeding cash at this point. Asha openly admitted that the entire Xbox business model as it stands right now is fundamentally unhealthy. She said that their profit margins are somewhere between 3 and 10 times lower than their platform competitors. And then she dropped the fact that in a typical year, this division was losing 64 cents on every single dollar that Microsoft put into it. And a huge amount of that traces right back to the fact that their big master plan didn't...
But they're gonna spend $400, $500, $600 million plus on an unfinished Halo game with missing features. How the fuck?
Not work out the way that they intended. They tried to be everything all at once: console, PC, cloud, and bet the whole house on Game Pass. Everything into going multi-platform, everything into buying up these massive studios, and none of it grew the way that they had hoped. Asha admitted that they now find themselves competing not only with the largest publishers, but also with smaller independent studios, which further proves indie and some AA have really been dominating the industry. Instead of Game Pass lifting the business up though, they kept throwing more and more money at it, hoping that it would just turn around, which comes right after they lost millions of subscribers last year when they raised the subscription price, a price that they have since had to lower again. Like we talked about at the start with the RAM.
It's going to eventually have to be free, and they're just going to not be able to put big games on there.
Cartel, there is the actual Xbox console piece to all of this too. Xbox, much like Sony and Nintendo, have raised prices on old consoles to compensate for the whole RAM and storage mess, but underneath all of that,
which is just going to make piracy worse for them. We're going to make the Xbox One S more expensive, but you can just fucking emulate those games or just get them on PC.
It is also a pretty huge and public admission that console sales are just in the absolute gutter. Both Xbox
and I wonder whose fault that is. It couldn't be Microsoft. It couldn't be Sony. It couldn't be all these corporations that are behind all of the fucking AI and bullshit that made all the prices go up. No, it couldn't be that. And now they're suffering because of it. And I'm loving every fucking minute of it.
Xbox and Sony are sitting at their lowest hardware sales in something like 2 decades now. But even with that, what actually sells a console? The games. We will be coming back to Sony in just a bit on this, but for...
Actually, I think it's more than just the consoles selling games. I think that we've gone too far into consoles being media centers and doing too much and basically becoming shittier versions of PCs. There used to be a huge difference between having a PC and having a console. A console was like an exclusive experience, but now they're all the fucking same. Even if they have technically different games, there's not much difference.
For Xbox in particular, you know the phrase designed by committee. Asha said that in some parts of the company, even a basic piece of work or normal everyday decision has to drag itself through as many as 14 layers of management before anything actually happens. Yes, 14 layers of management. She said the whole corporate structure got
which we fucking called it.
So incredibly bloated that their platform teams actually grew 40% bigger this console generation, even as the number of people playing and the amount of time that they were playing were both going down. So these teams just ballooned.
I think they got a little bit too big for their britches during COVID. They were seeing record numbers because people were staying home, so they were like, well, we got all this extra money, let's just hire some bullshit teams and just push our gay propaganda. It only works for a decade. The bullshit culture only works for a decade. We're moving into the next bullshit culture that's trying to fake everything and take over. The real culture never goes away. It never dies. There's always something trying to take it over. And I think it's going to be the Muslims and the Jews next. I think it's really going to be about religion.
Like crazy while the audience was shrinking, and now they are working really hard to fix that. Given that insane management pipeline though, what games did all of that time, money, and management actually get them? Well, there's Halo Infinite, which bled players so fast that at one point Microsoft just renamed 343 Industries to Halo Studios in an attempt to scrub off all of the bad vibes. And
I played Halo Infinite whenever it first came out on Game Pass, and I was just like, what the fuck is this? 1, I'm playing it for free. 2, they spent like fucking $500 million on it. 3, it wasn't finished. 4, it was just like they changed the formula of Halo for some reason and made it open world, which it wasn't really, because it was like this, just like, I guess, open landscape with towers and stuff. It was worse than a Ubisoft game.
Then, of course, there's Bethesda, and genuinely, Todd, what have you guys been doing this entire time?
Fire them all. Fire Todd. Honestly, I wouldn't care if you shut down the whole studio. How many games have they made? 5? They've made 5 games in their fucking lifetime? 5 or 6? Let's see. Let's count them. We got Daggerfall, Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout 3, Fallout 4. There's 6. There's 6 fucking games in their entire lifetime that actually mean anything.
What did all of that time and all that money actually buy for you? There was Starfield, I guess. There was Redfall, unfortunately. And then just total and utter silence on Elder Scrolls 6. Although that looks like it is finally starting to change because it seems like they are being...
Bro, it's gonna be gay. It's gonna be gay.
Marched right back to their big IPs. more or less by force. We also got Bleeding Edge, more Hellblade, Avowed, the Outer Worlds 2, all commercial flops. Like Xbox stated, obviously a huge amount of this ultimately comes down to a gross mismanagement of money, of production, timelines, expectations, overhiring, but it is also that they were pouring all of that money into the wrong types.
Remember when everybody was just hardcore defending Avowed and Outer Worlds? Dude, and here we are. Here we fucking are. No, they're successful games. You're just a hater.
Types of games, chasing the wrong ideas coming out of their own studios, like the no curvy women in games. Microsoft, it went into HR initiatives, it went into hiring expensive consultants to explain their own players back to them. It went into working with companies like Sweet Baby Inc., who once reportedly admitted that on top of making everything feel a little bit more fake and gay, their other stated goal was to just burn the industry to the ground, which I don't know if they fully thought that one all the way through, because if the industry burns down, so do their jobs.
And by the way, the industry can't be burned down. Just their industry can be burned down. The industry as a whole will always live on. If there's no games to be played, it is so easy to just make a game. There's so many resources out there that people will just move over to indies, which is what pretty much happened.
However, there are still games on the horizon. We have got the upcoming Gears of War, Halo Remake, Fable. Although, Asha, if you can somehow hear me, I would possibly be interested in the new Fable if you could just fix the character models, because right now almost every character looks like...
Shut it down, restart it. Just try again and say we fucked up and just make a new one. And actually, like, you could just can this whole thing, make a smaller game, downscale it, make a Fable 3 2. And actually call it Fable 4. Or like Fable 2.5. Make an in-between game.
Like they would chew on drywall. But despite my jokes, I really am not trying to dance on anyone's grave here. We will see whether Xbox...
Fuck them! These people are fucking evil, man. They've been shitting on us this entire time, trying to destroy everything that we love. They do it on purpose. They say they do it on purpose. They want to own the chuds. All the things that they said about Charlie Kirk, fuck them. Fuck them all.
Actually turns out to be a phoenix that rises out of all of this, or whether it just burns to the ground. And to be honest with you, I do think Asha is handling a really terrible hand about as well as anyone realistically could right now. As much as journalists and podcasters try to say the opposite, the hard truth of it is, you can't keep making things that are losing you money. You can't keep pouring your best people and your biggest budgets into the areas that are bleeding you dry.
But people won't be allowed to be creative if they don't just spend $500 million. How are you going to be creative if you're not allowed to spend money? Dude, that is the stupidest cope that I've ever heard. If you're actually trying to be creative, you're going to find ways to spend the least amount of money possible and still have a great game that you're actually passionate about making, rather than passionate about pushing an agenda and trying to make as much money off of the modern audience as possible by just pushing ads everywhere and tricking people into glazing your games, and having a bunch of people who are just fucking liars who just latch onto it because they want to own the chuds, and then they don't actually play the fucking games that they defend. They don't watch the movies. They don't buy into the corporations because they're commies. They actually hate all of the corporations. I don't hate all the corporations, but they will pretend. That's why they work with Muslims, even though it makes no fucking sense for them to work with Muslims, because they don't care. They're just out to destroy their demons.
At some point, you do have to be willing to stop.
That was a hell of a rant.
Figure out the things that you are actually the best in the world at, and then go do those things better than anybody else. Which is why the ending line that Asha gave kind of stuck with me the most out of all of this, by saying that Xbox will not be the company that mistakes longevity for inevitability. I think that is spot on, so let's see if they can stick the landing. So while Xbox is over there...
They might be able to barely hold on, but they are not going to be the industry leaders that they once were. They done fucked it up. The rot is... It's too deep.
Confessing everything and at least trying to right the ship, Sony is doing the complete opposite. Sony is out back calmly and methodically, just lighting whatever goodwill they have on fire and just watching it burn for fun, because they dropped an absolute bomb of an announcement, sat back and watched the internet completely lose its mind, and have since remained very silent.
Where are all the people who were defending all the games that they were shitting out at that, what was it, Sony State of Play? What happened to that energy? They ain't defending Sony much anymore. There's still a lot of people defending Sony, but, like, they're not helping. They're making it worse by not calling out Sony on their bullshit. You know what? I haven't had a PlayStation since PS3, so fuck them.
We're talking, I think, 140 million views on Twitter alone at this point.
Ooh.
And then they just vanished. Went totally radio
And that's just on the one post. That's not including all the other posts that people made about it.
silent, which is a very bold strategy, I have to say. Just drop the biggest news possible and then disappear into thin air while everyone stands around waiting to jump you the second you show your face again. Do you remember?
And it gets worse the longer that you wait. You should have never fucking got off social media. You should have just kept posting through it. Because then everybody's just gonna pile on that very first post. And it just gets worse.
Remember when the Ubisoft guy told everyone to get comfortable not owning your games? At the time, we all dragged him for it, but now I am kind of starting to wonder. Did he know? Was he actually trying to warn?
Yes, everybody knew. We all could see where this was going because corporations always do the most greedy, disgusting shit in order to make the most amount of money possible and keep their power.
Us, like some kind of sacrificial lamb sent out ahead to soften us up before this news landed. I don't know.
By the way, as piracy gets worse, they're gonna crack down more and more on it. All these websites that are still up, they're gonna be gone soon. They're really gonna go after them because that's their competition. Their competition is free and open piracy.
I thought about it too much because here is what Sony actually said. Physical discs are dead by 2028, as in starting January of 2028, you will not be getting a real physical disc for any new games launching on PlayStation anymore.
I don't care. I'm fine with this because I'm just gonna use the files and make my own physical discs, and I'm not gonna play them on PlayStation. Which I'm not even gonna do the physical disc thing, but the option is there because fuck them.
First and third party. And of course, this leads us to the bigger conversation about ownership, specifically digital ownership. And I'm putting the air quotes here because, as we all know, this is a joke. It is the entire reason the movement Stop Killing Games even exists in the first place. And Sony went and proved the whole point themselves perfectly because in the exact same breath as announcing they are going fully digital, they also went ahead and deleted over 500 movies that people had already paid for.
You might as well do all the evil shit at once. Get it over with, so it doesn't just last a super long time and piss people off more and more over time. Just piss them off all at once, and then people will move on and forget.
Right out of their libraries over licensing agreements, which pretty much tells you everything you need.
I called it, by the way. Whenever they removed stuff a few years ago, and then whenever Xbox removed stuff, whenever Sony removed the interview just because people were mad at it, yeah, I saw the writing on the wall. And, like, all of the things getting ripped off of the stores because of licensing issues. Yeah, it was easy to see where this was going.
Need to know about what digital ownership actually means to them. And if all...
It's gotten to the point where I just don't want any kind of fucking licensing in my games. Everything needs to be all original now because I just don't fucking trust it.
Of that somehow still wasn't enough. In case you thought they didn't want to burn more than just goodwill, a week ago, the Sony CEO got up and announced that apparently failing at live service games 11 separate times still isn't enough for them. Because even after wasting $3.6 billion on Bungie alone, only to lay off a big chunk of that same staff, even after having to put Concord down behind the barn after just 2 weeks, even after canceling The Last of Us Online at 80% completion, they came right out and said that they are still aggressively pushing forward to revitalize their live service pipeline.
Well, yeah, because they see all of these live service games just absolutely killing it still, and they're trying to still chase that bag.
You know what they say about doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results? Well, Sony's about to find out for the 12th time. With all of that, you have to ask, where is all of the money going now? Why are Horizon fans who just wanted the next Horizon game out here getting handed Horizon?
Oh boy, so this insane, disgusting bullshit is not gonna last long. It's all coming to an end. I think after this next round of games coming out before the next generation launches, I think they're going to lose so much money that they're not going to be able to recover.
Horizon Hunters Gathering instead? Why are they still funneling hundreds of millions of dollars to Neil Druckmann just so he can play arts and crafts when the audience has told them loudly and clearly that they do not want it? On top of this, Sony exclusives have been dropping in revenue for the last 5 years now, so
Dude, when that new PlayStation comes out, they're fucked.
really, where
They ain't
are
got
all
nothing.
the big, real system-selling exclusives that are supposed to justify these upcoming $1,000 consoles? Even their whole strategy of porting everything over to PC managed to backfire on them because they would just sit on those games for years before releasing them, and then when they finally did, they would turn around and charge you full price for a game that was already 3 years old. I don't know though, honestly, at this point, they kind of just seem like they want to sit back and enjoy watching the world burn.
Yeah.
Because hey,
They're a bunch, they got taken over by a bunch of evil commies that are just trying to extract as much money and power as they possibly can. The people on top are going to remain in some kind of power. They always fail up for some reason. That just fucking always happens. While everybody else just crumbles. And the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. That's just how it works. And then the next industry will start popping up. Then they'll start trying to take over that. And it'll just be, the cycle repeats.
hey, at least the shareholders are happy. All of this news signals to me that AAA
The shareholders will always be there, by the way. They'll just move on to a different company, just like the people at the top. They'll just move on to a different company after they've burned everything to the ground.
is finally finding out. After effing around for quite a bit, you can only blow so much money, be so unorganized and mismanaged, mistreat, and flat out ignore your true customer base for so long before it all catches up with you. You mess around for too long, and eventually, the bill comes due.
Yeah, the bill comes due, and then they're gonna pass those savings on to you, or the opposite. Oh, we fucked up, guys. I guess we're gonna have to raise the prices of everything and remove all the content from the stores that you paid for because we don't want to pay the price to keep the servers up and to keep the licensing.
The question is, how are all of these impacted studios going to respond to this pressure? Will they finally be willing to make those tough business calls? Will they
They're gonna have to stop making gay shit and start making stuff that people actually want.
finally listen to their audience and pay attention to the market? Will they have a better takeaway from all of this than just blaming gamers like so many before them? Only time will tell. Alright, if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for being here. There is so much happening right now. It is a lot, but like I have said so many times before,
There's so much happening, yet there's not really anything happening. All the news that's been coming out is basically just the same news being carried over. There's like 4 topics going on today, and it's all just because Xbox and PlayStation are doing dumb shit. Moving on! Hypnotic is talking about the government is now backing PlayStation, and nobody saw this coming. No, not a single one of us. Yeah, I don't know what this is about. The government is now backing PlayStation. I mean, it kind of makes sense. All these corporate freaks, they're in the government. They're in every corporation. All of the big ones, at least. Because nobody real wants to work for these corporations or the government. They already gave up on that. So let's see what happened, man. How is PlayStation working with the government now?
or for every single
Boys, we got to talk about PlayStation. I know,
Yeah,
I know. Every single one of you, this is what you're here for. This is what you want.
Yo, I'm here for it, man. I love watching them suffer.
Right? When you're here watching these videos and you're here watching the live streams, you're excited for this. But anyway, no, seriously,
not
we got to
watching
talk
the
about
live stream.
PlayStation. Because an interesting part of the conversation had to do with the EU. Like, how is it going to happen over the pond, right? Also in Japan, too. Like, how is the lack of physical media going to be treated in other countries? Because we kind of already know how the Western game
Yeah, I know how it's gonna be treated. Yo ho, a pirate's life for me.
countries, because we kind of already know how the Western gaming industry, mainly here, right, in the US, like how we're going to look at the lack of physical media and how there's a lot of corporate dick eaters that are just so excited and cannot wait to just give Sony all the money in the world and not have to worry about, you know, paying for their video games on sale.
And guess what? It's about to get so much worse as everything crashes all around us and people finally listen and jump on board to what we're saying, what we've been saying. The people left on the other side are going to crash out and lie and manipulate even harder. And you know what? Honestly, I'm kind of here for it.
You know, they can't wait to, you know, pay full price. Like there's so many of them here on social media, they're just super desperate to just convince Sony that they love them so much. But a lot of people were questioning what's going to happen in the EU, what's going to happen in UK, what's going to happen in Japan, what's going to happen in other places, right? Because Japan is major on physical media, bigger than anywhere else for the most part. Their numbers are skewed in the opposite direction to favor physical media by a large margin, especially if you're
Yeah, but that doesn't matter to the globalist elites that are at the top of all these corporations.
playing on Nintendo. It's even bigger over there. But apparently, according to the commissioner, he says that the EU cannot stop Sony from ending physical video games. According to this article from Games Radar,
shit.
companies
The
are
EU
free
is
to offer
incompetent as
games
fuck.
and services in the manner that they see.
And they have less money than the corporations that are pushing all this shit. Because let me tell you, it ain't just Sony that's pushing this. It's all the payment processors. It's all of the international investors. It's not just Sony. Everybody wants this shit because they're going to make more money off of it.
See fit. Now, I find this all to be extremely interesting. I do. Because stop killing games is a thing, right? It's a thing that's been happening for a while now. It ended up getting, essentially talked about at the parliament. And looking at this, I find this to be so curious because the conversation
I'm glad that it's getting struck down. Either they give us what we want or we take it.
around this really is starting to go in the direction of like, this is collaborated in a way. And I know there's going to be people out there, they're going to say, yes, obviously it's collaborated, it's all connected and all that. Yeah, I get that. But it's one thing to like say it, it's another thing to start seeing it. And this is really making me start to see it. Not only that, it really just shows that in terms of digital rights, we are so far behind, it's not even funny. And I know I've said this many times.
Oh, we've got our digital rights. If we all band together and just unconventionally acquire everything, what are they going to do?
But this is just more proof that we are way too far behind with digital rights. Because why are we at this point where these companies can just sell you something and use permanent wording like buy now or buy here or buy on sale or buy? Why are they allowed still in 2026 to use this permanent language when you're not actually buying anything? You're not actually owning anything. And they're going to get around that or try to get
because
around
they
that
own everything
by saying, well, technically you are buying something. You're buying the license. But the thing is, when you use the word buy, it has that inherent for a long time now. We're talking decades upon decades upon decades. Whenever somebody said, hey, you want to buy this? It was basically, do you want to own this? Now, if you say, hey, you want to buy...
No, I knew the whole time what the deal was. And I've been calling for DRM-free files that I could do whatever the fuck I want with. Like on GOG. I've been doing this for years. I've been saying it for years. That's what I want with everything. I want to be able to... So I had an idea, actually. Like, what if we could plug our PlayStation up to a PC and play our games through PC with a PlayStation? Not like play our games on the PC exactly, but like almost use the PC hardware to boost the PlayStation games. And also be able to just move the files from the PlayStation to the PC, but you won't be able to play them without plugging the PlayStation up. I mean, that could work. I don't want that, but that's a way that it could work. And I think that'd be just badass. Oh, we can't do that, Fables. Yes, we fucking can. The only reason we can't is because there are people that are making money who say we can't do that.
Buy this. Now it's like, well, hey, do you want to rent this? And that's really the biggest problem. So the wording is a big issue, and I'm really surprised that the EU is saying this. So we're gonna go over this. We're gonna go over that, and we're gonna go over the the main PlayStation account, which is continuing to get completely destroyed by community notes. We got some interesting ones that we're going to go over today, so let's go over it, man. So following last week's announcement that the PlayStation will cease production on physical games, collectors, game preservationists, and even activists have been rallying to slow the inevitable, with some going as far as to call on authorities to put a stop to
This is what the fucking leftoid activists should have been on the whole time. Instead of pushing a gay agenda, they should have been seeing all this shit coming, because we've been saying it, and they've been denying it, calling us fucking incels and racists. It's just like, bro, it's all fake. They're pushing this gay agenda to trick you so they can do shit like this.
Sony's decision. One thing I'm going to say real quick is that I do find it interesting that there's a couple of sides to the coin here, right? There are the people that are actively fighting against this, right? There are the people that are actively saying they want this, which is fine. You're allowed to have two sides of the coin. And then there are people out there that are saying that it sucks, but then they're also saying, well, there's nothing you can do about it because Sony's a massive company, and you should just basically, stop looking like a fool and just take it. So it's like they want to fight, but they're too scared to fight. So then they make...
No, they're too lazy. That's really it. They're lazy as fuck. And they have FOMO. They don't want to not play their gay game.
They project onto you and they make fun of the people who are out there fighting. Or at the very least, guys, I just want to reiterate, this is not necessarily about boycotting in a way, like from the standard sense, because PlayStation is huge, right? PlayStation is massive. Like I say many times on the stream, for me, it's about spreading the information so that more people wake up and realize that they have options. Because truthfully, a lot of people that are playing on consoles, there is a certain mindset by that console gamer, and I know there is because I know like actual hardcore console gamers in real life. There's a certain mindset that they have about PC gaming and how it's essentially inaccessible. They view it as something that is unattainable because they view it as something that's potentially very expensive.
Yeah, they're retarded. They think that that PC gaming is expensive because they're looking for something that's better than the console that they got, and they don't realize that the console they got is unnecessary.
Because they start thinking about like hardcore gaming computers. They don't realize that there's actually affordable PCs out there that are really not that much more expensive, and then weighing the pros and cons between getting a little bit more of an expensive PC.
And you don't even got to do that. You can get something that's underpowered compared to the consoles because most people don't play the top games anyway. Like, you might play a game when it comes out, sure, but to be honest, most of the games you play are underpowered.
To get on PC gaming versus staying in...
Obviously, there's going to be some people out there who play just the biggest, best games, but most people don't do that. You can see it. You can see the numbers. They don't lie.
In a cheaper box where it has a closed-off ecosystem that you're going to pay more for video games, and you're going to have to pay to play online, which starts to add up over time to the point where it's more expensive than PC gaming, But people don't think like that. One thing about customers is they never really think on a large scale. They tend to think more tight. Like, they tend to think smaller scale, smaller scope. And the more you could make that information accessible on a smaller scope, the higher chance that they're going to have to realize the options that are before them. At least that's how I see things, right? So, but in any case, when it comes to PlayStation, for me, it's about just informing people and just letting them know they have options. That's really it, because you may know you have options. I know there's a lot of people that comment on my videos and comment on my live streams telling me what they're doing. If I were to search my videos and see the hundreds of comments of people saying that they're leaving the PlayStation platform and they've already started moving over to either PC or whatever, or Nintendo. I've seen some people saying they're going to Nintendo. Regardless, I'm getting hundreds, if not over.
Yeah, what are you going to do when they all fucking lock down everything like Sony's doing? Because they're all going to do it.
Thousands of comments now, all saying that. And I'm just one person. I'm not even that big of a YouTube channel. I'm just literally one person. So I can only imagine how many people are actually pissed about this.
Not
so
enough.
For me, I take that as a win. I'm not trying to take PlayStation down. I'm trying to help people realize they got options. That's really it.
I want to take PlayStation down. Everybody should move away from that platform and just let it fucking crumble.
But anyway, choice is an amazing thing, right? So PlayStation will cease production on physical game discs. We already know that, starting in 2028. And now we got to the point where the EU Commissioner for Democracy, Justice, the Rule of Law, and Consumer Protection, Michael McGrath, recently told reporters in Strasbourg's European Parliament that he doesn't think it's the government's job to get in the way of the free market so long as laws aren't being broken. Isn't that the key word there? Isn't that the key phrase there?
Yeah, the corporations are smarter than the lawmakers because the lawmakers don't know how these things work, and the corporations know this, and they have teams of people that are looking into how they can skirt the law, how they can do everything technically legal.
There, I should say. As long as laws aren't being broken. That is the problem, boys. That
Gotta
is
change the laws?
Literal problem, boys, is that digital rights and digital laws have been far outpaced by digital media. That's the issue. So yeah, of course, no.
So piracy is going to be who they're going to be competing with because they've destroyed all competition. They're all the same fucking company. Xbox PlayStation, they're just the fucking same. They do the same shit. They pretend that they're different because they got different colors.
Laws are going to be broken, my guy, because no laws exist. That's what you don't get. How do you not understand that? I mean, realistically, though, I'm sure he does understand that. But, you know, maybe he benefits from it. I don't really know. But realistically,
they all do.
That's the entire point. Digital media has...
He's benefiting from just talking about it.
Far surpassed the rights of digital customers. It has completely far surpassed it. We're at the point now where we have seen such a evolution of what was initially digital media many years ago to what it is now. And that evolution has changed so much. It's honestly ridiculous. But the law system has barely changed.
I've said it a million times. That just means that more people are going to pirate. And more people are going to fall off of the shitty new games because the old games are just fucking better. And they're more accessible because they're fucking free. And you can play any game on PC. Any of them. Even PS5 games, they're working on emulators. They got them running. They got some games that are working.
It's barely changed. In that same exact time, which has been a very long time, the law system has barely changed in support of digital media rights. So these companies...
But Nintendo can go after all these companies that are trying to preserve their games.
Are trying to quickly make all these changes because they know the law system is extremely behind, and the faster they make these changes, the faster they can take advantage of the laws not being in place, so that way they can get in place what they want to get in place before they may be any potential law, because it's harder to enact a law once something's already in place.
And corporations have so much fucking money that they can just hand the government and hand people to manipulate the government into doing their bidding. And regular people, they just don't have that unless they come together. And people aren't coming together because they've been divided by these very corporations that are doing all of this shit by pushing this fake gay agenda.
With that being said, let's continue. It does come down to commercial and contractual freedoms, and companies are free to offer games and services in a manner they see fit, provided that consumer rights are fully protected in line with national and EU law, according to McGrath. Referring to last month's EU ruling against Stop Killing Games and the decision against recommending new legislation to prevent publishers from revoking access to online-only games, McGrath also added, "We did have to consider a European Citizens Initiative on this question of whether games should continue to be available after a new edition of the game has been brought forward. It seems that McGrath's view, the decision to stop producing a physical product being the manufacturer's choice, is a more clear-cut case."
If you lost access to a game like The Crew, for instance, and you got upset about it, but then you go on to buy that company's other games, and then you lose access to them, I don't feel bad for you. You fucking deserve it.
So all of this is tying together at the same time, which I find to be very interesting. You know, a lot of people were bringing up Stop Killing Games as one of the reasons why potentially PlayStation and other companies have decided to try to push an all-digital future faster than they probably would have. But I don't believe that. I think this has been in the cards for a very long time. I think
it's been over a decade they've been thinking about this shit.
I think this has been in the cards for many years prior to Stop Killing Games even being a thing, because Stop Killing Games became a thing after Ubisoft decided to take away The Crew, and people got fed up and they decided to do something about it. And then before you know it, it eventually exploded to the point where, you know, it ended up going to Parliament. So, and now it's also in California as well. I mean, it's kind of everywhere at this point. So that battle's being fought on multiple different avenues, but we don't really have like a final conclusion to either of those yet. But Stop Killing Games, realistically, this is like, that's just kind of like a symptom of the overall problem that's been around for a very long time. From everything we've seen so far, it seems unlikely that Sony will reverse its stance on getting rid of physical games ahead of the next generation of consoles, which we already...
Anybody who thought that they were going to reverse that, I don't know, you're just completely brain dead, I guess.
You know that. So now we're going to go to PlayStation's actual page, because what they've been doing is they've been essentially trying to pretend like none of this is happening, right? And we all said this was going to happen.
Which just makes it worse. Like, that's how you know these corporations are out of touch with real people, and they're just focused on their own bullshit agendas.
Talked about this yesterday. We're going to talk about it again today. They've been trying to pretend that literally none of this is happening. So they've been advertising their video games. And like I told you,
eventually people will forget that That's the mindset that they have because that's the way it's worked this whole time. But we've had a great economy when it comes to video games and entertainment thus far. And only recently has everything been crashing all around us. Everything's bad and people are just getting more and more and more pissed off.
With you guys, the more community notes that get on these advertisements, no matter how much they try to fight them, the better. Because every time it gets community noted, these advertisements, because that's what they are, they're advertisements, these advertisements will then inform people who see it, like this, for example. Sony's pushing an all-digital future without being upfront about its limits. PS5 downloads can't be played from USB. And expanding storage requires an expensive NVMe SSD. Digital games are licenses, not true ownership. Physical discs preserve choice, competition, and ownership. So every time something like this...
But I don't even really care about physical discs. I want the DRM-free files, damn it.
This actually happens, we just get to a point where more and more people are going to be informed. And that's honestly, that's the best thing. Because I can't rely on the legal process. The legal process is too slow. Exactly, chat. The legal process is way too slow. If you start waiting for the legal process, you'll be there forever. By the time we get a...
So let's just work on trying to preserve the games ourselves instead, because obviously trying to work with the law isn't fucking working.
Law that even remotely resembles anything related to stop killing games, they would have already made 10 more moves to protect themselves and to allow them to continue doing what they're doing.
Yeah, okay, so I say we just let them.
They've been prepping for this for a very long time.
We'll work on other shit.
This is not something that just sprung up at a meeting, 60 days ago at PlayStation headquarters. This is something that they've been talking about since probably around the PlayStation 4, if I had to be real. It's probably been around the PlayStation 4.
I bet they had plans to do this before Xbox made the announcement, and that's why Xbox had to get out in front of it to announce the all-digital future, and then everybody shit all over them, so they were like, shut up, fuck, quick, change everything. That's why PS4 was still technically digital. The discs were meaningless, because the updates, patches, and everything. DLC was not on disc, in most cases. Sometimes it was, and people fucking hate that whenever there's DLC on disc and then you lock them out of it.
Right? So, again, realistically, guys, like we said yesterday, the people that control PlayStation are ball and gun players. I mean, look, guys, they know exactly what they're advertising to.
And none of them actually play games. None of them actually consume the entertainment that they, in quotes, create. And they call us all consumers because they expect us just to buy their slop. We are not consumers, we are customers. And you have to try and be on your best behavior. You gotta get us to buy your shit. If you're pissing us all off, it makes us not want to buy your shit. Good luck.
Look at what the headline is for PlayStation's main account. Of course, it's college football 20. Like, they know, bro. They know.
And people are mad at this game right now because it has in-game ads.
Their player base.
Fucking
and I'm not going to
insane.
pretend like they're stupid. They know their player base, they know who they're banking on, and they're hoping that there's enough of those people to carry them through while they screw over everybody else that has been enjoying a physical PlayStation disc for decades now.
And I think they're just waiting on Xbox and Nintendo to jump on board.
For decades. Like, they know who their players are, and they're hoping to take advantage of them. Because, to be honest with you, they already do. They already do. They take advantage of people that play these sports games, that play these 2K games, because guys, do you not remember the story about the PlayStation 5 gamer who was playing NBA 2K and he spent $30-something thousand in like 3 months on the game?
Why?
It was like $35,000 to $38,000 in just a few months on a game that's going to have a new version in the next year with the same exact content with some very slight changes, and they're going to sell it to you again. You know what I mean? Like, they know that they are banking on those people. They want those people to be around. Those are the people that I don't even want to say if they even know they're in an ecosystem like that, but realistically, I think they do. I think they absolutely do know, right? And guys, we've already said this before. When it comes to like Grand Theft Auto, for example, we've talked about how there was numbers that were leaked for Grand Theft Auto Online.
I think that extra purchases in video games should probably be illegal. You know, I think that games should just be games. Like, imagine when we start putting microtransactions inside of movies. oh, you've got enough credits to skip this ad. Once you run out of credits, you got to buy more, or you got to watch more ads. It's coming.
Not that long ago, and Grand Theft Auto Online for PlayStation makes up like 94% of the revenue. PlayStation players were spending millions upon millions upon millions of dollars playing Grand Theft Auto Online, and Xbox and PC players were spending like hundreds of thousands. That's it. It was such a drastic difference. It's not even funny, dude. You know, I'm talking about monthly spend. PlayStation monthly spend was at like $4 million. PC was at like 800,000. Actually, I think PlayStation was more than that. So their ecosystem is basically the opposite of Xbox, where Xbox players were trained not to buy video games with Game Pass. PlayStation users were trained to just keep buying nonstop. Buy nonstop. That's what they've been trained to do.
I think a lot of them are doing that, who are just PlayStation fanboys, but I don't think there's enough of those people to actually keep them afloat. I think really, realistically, all of the normies who have a PlayStation who just ended up getting the PlayStation because that's what they got, once they all fall off, they're going to have a real hard time. I think we're going to see a situation similar to what's happening with the Xbox right now. It's going to be happening to PlayStation very, very soon. I think that's probably why they implemented this whole physical disc thing, because they're trying to cut costs, they're trying to save money immediately so they can prevent a catastrophe as big as Xbox's.
Buy it full price, keep buying it full price for as much as possible, and if we do sell you a game on sale, you're not even going to know if you got the best price, because now we do variable pricing, so we might charge you $40, and Joe Schmo might get it for $30, but hey, at least you're a good old happy Sony boy.
You guys like new games? You like new games? How about another sequel? How about a sequel that should just be a different game, but we're gonna slap some memorable characters in it and a memorable name like God of War onto a game, just so we can make something, justify spending a bunch of money on it, and actually have people play it and buy it, spend money on it. It's fucking gross. Oh, we have entered the next generation. Do you want another version of The Last of Us? We remastered it again. I guarantee you they're gonna do it again. When the PS6 comes out, they're gonna have The Last of Us new remastered version, and they're probably gonna charge full price for it, or near full price, like $50-$60.
You know, at least you get to enjoy the idea that you thought you bought something on sale. You know, that's really what it is, man. So realistically, they know their players. They know their players through and through, and they're not gonna change, man. So all I can say is
they will once they don't have enough money to actually spend on this shit, because yeah, you got the whales, but not everybody's a whale. They can't count on just the whales. They got to get the normies and the people who just spend a little bit too much money. Not the people who spend $30,000, but like, you know, the people who spend $200 on microtransactions without realizing that they're doing that.
Is that I think people should change their wording. I understand people wanting to use the word boycott because it sounds stronger, but realistically, it should just be a walkaway movement. That's really what it is. Not a boycott movement. It should be a walkaway movement. You got to decide.
I walked away years ago, but I walked away from all of these corporate games. And like, I moved to Steam, which is also a corporation, because I don't hate corporations. I just hate these bullshit corporations. And once Steam starts getting shitified, then I'm just going to be fully on board with GOG. Once GOG gets shitified, then I guess I'm just going to have to fucking pirate everything. Because right now, I only unconventionally acquire the console games, usually the older generations. I buy all my PC games still.
Decide for yourself whether or not if you want to boycott Sony, because boycott implies if they give you what you want, you're going to go back. At this point, they've basically said fuck you so many times that it shouldn't be a...
Yeah, I don't care to miss out on some of these games. Fuck them.
It shouldn't be a boycott.
They're not making anything I want to play anyway.
It should be a walkaway. That's really what it is. It should be a complete walkaway. So if you want to walk away from Sony, you're more than welcome to. If you don't, you're also more than welcome to. But that's realistically what it should be. Especially when you have governmental agencies essentially confirming that they're, on Sony's side. They're not going to do anything. The EU is not going to do anything. The US is not going to do anything. This is not something that's going to be solved governmentally. This is something that's going to be forced or solved by the hands of people that actually pay these people. So if you're going to walk away, now's your time, or you stay with PlayStation and you have at it. That's basically it. That's kind of how it's gonna go.
Moving on! Smash JT is talking about Matt Hansen getting fired from Obsidian, and everybody is celebrating, but it's too late. It's not gonna help them. Suffer, bitch!
Microsoft just announced they're going through a major restructuring with over 1,600 jobs gone today and 3,200 in the future. And Obsidian...
And they're not going to stop there. It's going to be so much more. They're going to be shutting down these big studios. I guarantee it. They're not doing enough. I don't think they went hard enough. I think they should have honestly shut down Bethesda and Obsidian Games. I think they just need to restart. Just hit the reset button completely. That people talking about they hit the reset button, that is not what happened. Instead, they shook off some rust, but they still have some deep rot within... They just gotta completely cut it out. That's like you got rust on the bottom of your truck and you grind it off, but you still got holes and everything. No, you gotta cut it and just completely replace it.
Is part of the layoffs. Obsidian is a studio I've covered many times on this channel in the past. I've actually had people working at the studio reach out to me, tell me about specific people at the company that they didn't like working with. And we're going to talk about a specific...
You know why it's like that in all of these companies? It's because all of the people who are worth a fuck already left. And all of the new people, they're just not going to these corporations. They're going to the indie studios. They're making their own games. They're going to the AA studios. They're going to places where they're actually treated like creators. And they don't give a shit about the political agenda that the corporations are pushing. They just want to make games. And that's why they're absolutely destroying the AAA industry right now.
And we're going to talk about a specific person that I've covered many times in the past, Matt Hansen, the art director from Obsidian.
I've talked about him before.
Let go because apparently...
Fuck yeah.
They've realized he's not someone they need there anymore. I said, Matt Hansen, the Obsidian art director, who infamously...
Find out who all of these people are that are like this guy. All of the wokies, get them the fuck out. The wokies are going to be the brokies now.
Tweeted they wanted to be replaced by a black person so he could go live in the woods, has been fired. And before we even get into this story...
Well, now he's going to live up to his dream.
This was one of the many weird things...
Everybody's making me move my fucking chicken, man. All right, there we go.
This guy posted over the years. Reminder to black artists out there who are looking for portfolio reviews or job advice. Just black, by the way. Whites need not apply.
Yeah, they didn't replace him with a black person, by the way. They actually replaced him with another leftoid moron.
My DMs are open, and you will always have my priority. We got too many crusty white dudes in this field.
By the way, this is illegal.
What the fuck are you, good sir? Please let me help you. Replace me one day. Holy shit. I know I covered this many times in the past, but I still can't get... Like, this is one of those posts that will stick with you your entire life. This needs to be stapled to your forehead when you go to interviews in the game industry, so they know exactly who they're hiring.
Racial discrimination.
I want to go back to living in the woods. Well, Matt, looks like today you got your wish. Chris Avallone, which, if you're not familiar, Chris, dev, writer, Planescape Torment, Fallout 2, New Vegas, Divinity, OS2, Prey, Into the Breach. This guy has a long and storied history.
Don't care. He can get fired also a leftoid freak.
Obsidian, and he was the one breaking the news today about what was going down there. He said, well, Obsidian did have layoffs. Way to go, Microsoft. Noir says, that's it. I was hoping they could get axed after Avowed and the Outer Worlds 2. And Josh Greb says, after making Avowed and Outer Worlds 2, it's expected. Chris says, actually, that was one pipeline reason not to do it. Is it though? Mark says, to be honest, after their last 4 games or so, it is beyond expected. And Chris says, I think Grounded was the only one that made money, but that's speculation. I don't have data.
Still nobody played Grounded. Not enough
on it. I would say, if I had to guess, yes. If I was a betting man and I had to bet my life on it, I would definitely bet my life on that instead of saying the other games made money as well. I'm pretty sure Daniel, art director, tweeted openly about refusing to hire straight white men. I hope he never works again.
Truth-based. Fuck yeah.
This is incorrect. Daniel did not post anything along those lines. And Daniel is a good guy. He was great on the Fallout DLCs and really put his shoulder into it. The developer who posted it was Matt Hansen. And yes, he was laid off.
Fuck 'em
too.
all.
Now, something
Should just shut down the whole fucking thing, man. Everybody over there is still gay. The company is corrupted. It's tainted. Even if you replace everybody with a bunch of straight white chuds, I think it's too late, man.
something very curious and interesting about the wording from Chris here is how he corrects the record and says that Daniel is a good guy and the things
Doubt
that
it.
he did and how hard he worked on it. And then corrects it and says,
If you're willing to work in a place like Obsidian with all of these people, then you're just as bad, man. You should have left. You should have left that train wreck. And the fact that you didn't means that you were okay with it and you were just doing it for the money or the agenda. So fuck you.
no, Matt Hansen. Like, fuck them kids. Like, he didn't say anything about Matt Hansen being a good guy. And from the people that, multiple people that I've covered this in the past, that reached out to me that work at Obsidian, they told me they appreciated the coverage I was giving on what Obsidian was going through. And they were hopeful
No, not enough to not work for Obsidian.
they were able to turn it around. But overall, the mentality internally at Obsidian was this guy, this Matt Hansen guy, was a piece of shit. And nobody there liked him. So I would imagine with the layoffs there today, sure, people
Imagine this guy was such a freak that even the freaks didn't like him.
were affected that might have been good base devs because Obsidian had plenty of them as well. I know because they reached out to me and they told me that
No,
they did
they're
not
a bunch
agree
of
with the direction
pussies.
of a lot
Fuck them.
of shit they were doing there. So yes, they exist in Obsidian.
Yeah, they should have been more vocal. Oh, my job would have been on the line. Work somewhere else. Go work at fucking Walmart.
My fear is that some of them got caught up in the
Oh,
layoffs.
but
as
my
well.
dream.
But at the same time, at least this happened. Tebow says the dude at Obsidian who wanted to be replaced by a black dude got replaced by AI instead. It's ironic. Rabs Gaming. Obsidian Entertainment was hit by the Xbox reset layoffs. This includes their art director who worked there for 21 years.
Everybody keeps bringing up that a bunch of these people worked there for so long and they just lost their jobs, all these legendary things that they worked on. Well, too bad.
This is Daniel A. This
Shouldn't have
by
fucked
the way,
around.
to be clear, not Matt Hansen. Multiple art directors, and everyone was confusing Daniel A. with Matt Hansen. This is, at least according to Chris Avalo, Daniel A. is a very good dev, and I trust Chris on what he says about these.
I don't.
Says, today, I joined the list of people impacted by the layoffs.
He's a pussy too because he's not calling out all this fake gay agenda. If you're not calling out the fake gay agenda and you work at these fake gay companies, sorry, you're going down with the ship.
Many of us knew we're coming to Xbox. This morning, after 21 years at Obsidian, my journey with the studio came to an end. While this wasn't the outcome I hoped for, I can't help but feel incredibly grateful for the time I spent there. Obsidian wasn't just a workplace, it was where I built my career, formed long-lasting relationships and friendships, and had the
No, you
opportunity
didn't.
to work alongside some of the most talented and passionate people in the industry.
No, you didn't.
We are clearly at a turning point in the games industry. These past few months have been difficult for so many talented people, and unfortunately, it seems the challenges aren't over yet.
Not talented enough.
I can't speak to working anywhere for 21 years. That's very rare these days, and that's somebody that is has their roots in the ground at a company. Like damn, bro, that's got
Yeah, should have been better. Should have been better than the AI.
to hurt. Tyler McCombs, howdy y'all. I'm now actively looking for a job as a level designer.
Good luck.
I've been laid off due to cuts at Xbox Game Studios, working on
With a fucking profile picture like that, man, you're gonna get hired by a corporation. 1000%. It's just gonna be the same thing again.
getting my portfolio back online. But I've been working at
Dude is
Obsidian
super
for the
fucking
last
lame.
4 years.
Get these lame freaks out of video games. Like, this is a drama club retard.
At an area designer, mix of level design, quest design, encounter design, puzzle design, etc. I helped ship Avowed, and I was working on the unannounced project.
Like, you think somebody who looks like that, somebody who acts like that, somebody who works at a company like that is actually good enough to make cool shit?
Before that, I was working on Avalanche Software on Hogwarts Legacy. Let me know if you know any open positions. Condolences for those affected by these changes. More to come soon. I know it's kind of remedial to boil it down to, look, if you don't have pronouns and you don't push a gay agenda and you work on these studios, there's a high likelihood that you're good at what you do. There's like a direct correlation we've seen. Not every time, but for the most part, that's, I think, what most people have realized. Can there be...
Not good enough for me. I got really stupid high, unnecessarily high standards that barely anybody's ever gonna meet. And that's just the way I fucking like it. You don't like it? Too fucking bad.
Be exceptions on both sides of that? Yes, of course there are.
Like, I have to be this picky because I don't have the money to spend on all these fucking games. So I get the ones that are 10 out of 10 to me. The ones that I really fucking want.
But overall, that's what I've been seeing. Wenseng Huang, with recent Xbox restructure, my role has been impacted at Obsidian. While it was a short time, I did enjoy my time there and shipped something meaningful. That said, it is time to start my next journey.
Yep. Good luck with that. It's such a lame fucking statement, you know? I'm ready to start my next journey. It's so gay.
And everyone's looking to stay in the game industry. My hope for this, by the way, is that many of these people move on.
Yeah.
That they realize that the game industry was just a part of their life, but not what their life was. Jeffrey F.,
Prize in the bag.
producer at Obsidian. Today, I'm joining the many impacted layoffs at Microsoft. Just a week short of 3 years at Obsidian. If you're hiring, let me know. Yes, this is not ideal and it sucks, but it's out of my control. Going to do the best I can with all the free time that I have.
You gotta say, fuck you, fuck Obsidian, fuck Microsoft, and fuck your gay agenda. Who's hiring?
And if these people in the game industry that have been laid off, this is what I always say when this happens, especially in the gloriously modern era of 2026 that we find ourselves in with the advances of an AI and the abilities that indie developers have with the tools at their disposal. If you're really that talented at making a game, who's stopping you?
Yeah,
Go make
exactly.
your game, bro.
Yeah, go make your fucking game. You don't need to work at these corporations. That's what I was saying. The people who are actually talented, the people who are actually good, are not working at these Obsidian, fucking BioWare, EA, Ubisoft. They ain't working there.
Why do you need a big corpo to support you and suckle off the teat of? Go make your game. If it's that good, in a weird way, maybe what happened today is what advances the industry. This is where we get our one-off games in the future. The next big...
This is good for people like me who don't buy very many games. So I'm just laughing, man. People are just like, oh, why are you so angry? Bro, you're the one replying.
Minecraft, the next big single created player game from one person. Like, this is where it happens, where the true talent starts to show through. Kyle says, gaming layoffs, Obsidian. Who could have seen this coming? A thread, Daniel A.
Nobody saw it coming.
Jeffrey F. Obsidian Entertainment. Pronouns, avowed Obsidian layoffs, Laura Fryer. Here we go.
In a video game is utterly unacceptable.
Laura Fryer. She's exactly who I'm talking about, man. She calls out all this gay agenda that's just completely fake. I'm not against gay people, by the way. I'm not against trans people. I'm against this dumbass fake agenda that they're pushing to trick people and divide people. And, you know, they got what was fucking coming to them. I don't feel bad about it at all. I already was out on this shit because of a litany of different reasons. And it just keeps getting worse for them, and I fucking love it. I was out because of microtransactions and DLC and shit over a decade ago.
To which the art director responded, I wanted so badly to make him mad with my game, and I cannot believe it actually happened. Just wait until you see the default, you said little shit.
Yep, yep, exactly. All these freaks. Good luck. I don't even want them working at McDonald's, man. I don't buy McDonald's, but if I was to go to McDonald's, I don't want these people being the ones that put the fries in the bag. Where are they going to work if they can't even do that? They're going to be digging ditches. They're going to be breaking rocks.
I personally find this situation baffling. Does he know Elon personally? Why does he want to make Elon mad with his game? Why would you say this to someone who is easily one of the most controversial people on the planet, and therefore has millions of people reading his posts? This interaction may be the one impression that people will ever have of the game Avowed. Apparently,
Very, very well said by Laura Fryer. Again, as always, these people did nothing when Chris Avellone was slandered. I have loved Obsidian RPGs all my life, but they can get fucked for what they did to their best writer.
I've only ever played Fallout New Vegas. That's the only game that I've played from Obsidian, I think. Oh wait, no, they did some older games. Did they do Knights of the Old Republic? I don't fucking remember, man. That's the thing. Their good games are so long past that, like, they got nothing, man. See, this shit is what happens whenever you have a game pushed as it was a spiritual successor to a great game that you made in the past. Outer Worlds being a spiritual successor to Fallout New Vegas, but it had less features than Fallout New Vegas. It was a smaller game. It was way more generic, less things to do, man. Less characters, less openness, but instead of doing all of the things that Fallout New Vegas did, you focused on making it gay and pissing people off. And now everything's falling apart. Who could have seen this coming? If they didn't see this coming, then holy shit, they deserve to lose everything, because goddamn.
Yes. And I think that's why there's no love lost right now, Chris, where he's just like, he's the one reporting to everyone that the layoffs happened. It's like, yep. oh well, next. Learning Law says, Obsidian's avowed art director official statement, quote, too many white chuds. I need to be replaced by black people.
By the way, coming from a white leftist. This only comes from white people, by the way. I mean, there are some black people that are captured, but it's mostly these liberal white people.
Avowed flops. Relax, Obsidian is fine. We're making a sequel today. Obsidian announces layoffs, which, holy shit, that second image, by the way, if you gave Matt Hansen glasses, it's like literally 1-for-1. Learning a lot. Matt Hansen, art director for the game Avowed, has been laid off from Obsidian. Matt was known for his fantasy of being replaced by black people, since he thinks there are too many crusty white dudes in the industry and wishes to retire and live in the woods.
Yeah, that was his fantasy instead of focusing on actual fantasy.
Well, he finally did it. Grums, everything wrong in gaming is being made right again.
No, it's not.
I told you 2 years ago.
It's going to get worse. It's going to get way worse before it gets better. It's going to be a shift. You're not going to notice it happen until one day you're going to be like, holy shit, everything collapsed. But I don't care because I'm not even playing that. Like, how the fuck did this happen? That's what we're all going to be saying very, very soon.
Ago. Vote with your wallets. 2 years to stop the spread. Outcome. Sweeting victory after victory. Eckhart's base. Pretty sure, Daniel.
Sweet victory. Yeah.
And it says, no, Chris Hansen. So just to clarify it there. But yes, this whole situation was wild. Chris Avalone replying to Fried Finger, who says, they were aiming for a mild success, and they are getting one, aka unemployment. Chris Avalone, yeah, that presentation was kind of depressing.
You can't have a mild success whenever you spend $200 million plus on your product, and then you fucking piss everybody off, and it doesn't last throughout the years maintaining culture and shit. Like, something might be popular right out the gate because of all of the fake marketing that gets pushed and people falling for it and people just lying and shit like that. Just trying to be against the people that they don't like by supporting the thing that they're pissed off at. Where was I going with that? Fuck. See, I get off on these tangents and I forget what I'm talking about. You get what I'm talking about.
It's what I call a, quote, producer-centric presentation, which usually means tone-deaf because it's not really about games. It's about management win. My 2 cents, our time on Earth is short. Chase dreams, swing big, not mid. It's why we're in games or any creative field.
And you won't be remembered.
Chunk of developers at Obsidian felt the same way too. Chasing mid is hardly a vision for a company, and it certainly doesn't inspire anyone.
Which, by the way, is what I said. I said this shit's gonna be mid. I called it. People got mad because I was like, this game really seems like a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, which isn't bad, except for they, spent $200 million plus. So they can't afford mid. And people were like, no, it's 9 out of 10. This game is great. I'm like, well, you have never played other games, I guess.
Well said. This is 1 year ago. Obsidian says it won't chase huge profits or grow aggressively. And that's how it's going to last 100 years in the RPG business. Are we serious? Yes. The Avowed Studio expects each game to be a, quote, mild success and budgets accordingly, say company leaders who wanted to reach its 100th birthday.
Holy shit. I've never seen that before. How embarrassing. Dude, they actually thought that they were going to last forever. Did they really think that, Smash? Did they really think that, or are they lying and they're really, trying to destroy everything? I don't know. It could be either one. They could be either that retarded or that evil. Or maybe both. Maybe thought they were gonna just keep churning out shit and destroying culture for 100 years. Fucking commies. This is the Marxist agenda.
Are these people retarded? Like, on
Either retarded or evil.
this question, who sets out to make something a mild success in the world of entertainment?
People who aren't good enough to make a huge success. They aren't good enough to be part of these AA studios, these indie studios. And the corporations know that, and that's all that they have to hire for.
And thinking that's sustainable. Yes, we're going to make a mild success to make sure we make just enough money for the next mild success. Who put these people in charge? Like, how does this even happen? This is like
They did it out of desperation because the good people just aren't around.
pure comedy. Like, I think it could, like, during the good times, that kind of mentality will work because no matter what kind of shit you throw against the wall, it will stick. And you're like, yeah, look at that, mild success. I was right. But then when there's a downturn, when people don't buy all the games and the money gets a little bit tighter everywhere else and the entertainment the belt starts to tighten a little bit, you're the first one that gets cut out of that. So you should probably be trying your very best to, I don't know, make the best possible product you possibly can make.
They did. That's exactly what they did. They made the best thing that they could possibly make, which was mid.
I think back to the times and the stories you hear. I know all the journals say, "Oh, crunch is bad. Don't promote crunch in gaming." Some of the
If you can't handle the crunch, then you just need to not be working at that company. That's what I got to say about crunch. I don't give a fuck. I don't care what the company structure is like. I don't care about what they do at that company. I don't care about how bad a time you're having at that company. I've worked at factories, bro. Let me tell you, that's a million times worse. I've worked on farms my entire life. 100 degrees outside, 80 hours a week. And fucking talk to me about, oh, I can't handle working 60 hours. The crunch is just so hard. 60, 80 hours. I don't care. Make a good product. If you make a better product faster, then you don't got to worry about crunch. Now, do you? Shouldn't have wasted time.
best games ever made are because of
Yep.
the passion from the developer. You watch the documentaries.
If you're passionate enough, then you won't care about the crunch. Oh, working more than 40 hours a week. That's just too much. Well, I guess then you're just not passionate and you're just here to make money.
Of Nintendo back in the 80s and early 90s, where they're sleeping at the offices. They don't.
Oh, that's a bad example. Oh, Japan in the 80s and 90s, especially JRPGs and stuff, people were dying. They were locking teenagers in closets until they got done with their tasks. Bad example, Smash.
See their family for weeks on end. And yes, it's sad, obviously, from that perspective, because family's very important. But their passion to make something very special on the cutting edge of technology,
They were going to war, bitch.
show through, to be like, I care so much about this that I'm literally not eating enough. I'm not sleeping enough. I just need to get this out there.
I've been really into like World War II content here recently, and like when I see all that shit and I see people complaining about, oh, working on games is hard, well then I guess you don't need to be working on games. There were people dying on purpose just to help out their friends because they thought that they were doing something good for the world, and you're over here crying about working on games. Get fucked.
There's something to be said for, and that's why these games back in the past were so incredible, and why it's turned into just shuffling cards and throwing them out there now. And maybe you'll hit one now, but back in the day, it's like you could just feel it. There's like levels to games, and I don't mean like level 1, level 2, level 3. I mean like digging under the surface and realizing if you push the button a little bit harder, you go a little bit faster, or you hold it down, you jump higher, you stop slower, like the little nuance, the care in every little area, as
the
opposed
warps
to now with Avowed, you shoot an arrow into the sky and it just disappears.
I didn't even know about the warp stuff until I was a teenager. I had been playing Mario for years and years and years, didn't know about that shit.
Doesn't come back, nothing happens. It's like they don't care, they don't think about that kind of stuff. Gamers care, like they want the game they play to be realistic.
And we don't care how you got to the point of making the great game. We just want the great game. If we got great games coming out the wazoo, then we can talk.
They wanted to do things that make them want to return to it in the future, and mid is not that. So yes, The reckoning for Obsidian was foretold years ago.
Making games is too hard. We need to have a place for yoga. We gotta have an espresso machine. We gotta have a theater so we can have movie nights. Because we're all friends here. Yeah, good luck having your studio shut down because you're wasting time and wasting money doing things that are not related to the game that you're making. And you're spending way too much time on social media getting your head all wrapped up into politics.
And go watch my videos on Obsidian. I was talking about this over a year ago, a year and a half ago. I can't believe it took this long to get to this point, but here we are. And so Matt Hansen, the art director, just full circle on how we started this, is gone. And I think I'll leave it at this. Is very curious to see what happens with. Do you think he's gonna look for another job in the industry, or is he gonna retire to that cabin in the woods? We'll see. I'll keep you guys posted, but for now, I'll leave that there.
Probably gonna go somewhere like Ubisoft or EA, or not exactly those, but like Naughty Dog or something. Moving on. Rev goes over the same thing Smash JT just talked about, except they replaced him with somebody who is just as bad and just as much a woke moron as the last guy. They just keep repeating the same cycles of bullshit. The conversation around Obsidian isn't over yet, man. It just keeps getting worse. Keeps getting worse and worse. And it still hasn't gotten to the worst point. We've got more to come. I guarantee you they're going to end up shutting down Obsidian. Especially if it's going to take them years to release a game, and then that game flops. They're fucking done.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure most of you are already aware that Xbox is doing a round of layoffs.
What?
Some estimates put around 3,200 or so employees. And now it's a matter of which studios are going to be shutting down, which ones will survive.
Dude, everybody knows. Everybody knows what's going on here.
And you can really say you reap what you sow, okay? A lot of these big corporations, they've been asking for this. They've been playing with people, they've been playing with gamers too long, and now they're suffering financially, and they have to start trimming the fat. And
all these people were talking in this whole time about how they hate people like— fuck, I pressed the wrong button. How they hate people like me. So it's deserved. Fuck them. I hope they lose everything. I'm just gonna play games like Terraria and Stardew Valley and Minecraft and PCSX2, the Dolphin emulator. That's where I'm gonna be. GOG.
Which studios are going to be shutting down, which ones will survive. And you can really say you reap what you sow, okay? A lot of these big corporations, they've been asking for this. They've been playing with people, they've been playing with gamers too long, and now they're suffering financially, and they have to start trimming the fat. And one of these studios people are looking at is Obsidian.
No! Not the people who made Fallout New Vegas!
Now, of course, Obsidian is the creator of Avowed, and we know how that went, right? This game
But they also made Fallout New Vegas, don't you remember? And also those other games before Fallout New Vegas that was like fucking 25 years ago?
Had a bunch of woke wackadoos working on it, and it was supposed to be the next great thing. Everyone told you this was going to be a massive hit. It was going to destroy the chuds, but here we are.
Yeah, and it had less features than Obsidian's— or not fucking Obsidian. It had less features than Oblivion, which is like what it was supposed to be a spiritual successor to. It was the same situation that Outer Worlds was in with Fallout New Vegas.
About a year later, this game was a massive flop. And just look at the lack of interest. Only peaking at 1,900 players on—
But it's not showing the Game Pass numbers.
Day one.
That now Xbox says fucking failed.
And immediately flatlining and never recovering. And of course, we can see there are some firings that are affecting some of the Obsidian employees, including Matt Hansen. Do you remember Matt Hansen? He was the artistic director for Avowed. And apparently he's been fired.
He was.
Now, of course, he's the one who was posting stuff like this, saying, reminder to black artists out there who are looking for portfolio reviews or job advice. My DMs are
okay, move on to the next part. I've already talked about this.
Open, and I will always give my priority to you. We got too many crusty white dudes in this field. Please let me help you replace me one day. I want to go back to living in the woods. Well, one way or another, this guy has been replaced. Yeah, literally foreshadowing his own firing. And you know what? At the end of the day, if you're some weirdo who's going to literally prioritize your occupational reactions and priorities based on the color of people's skin,
which is illegal.
Yeah, you're not a very good person. In fact,
it's racial discrimination in the workplace. You can't do that.
I would say you're a racist.
Yep.
Okay? Giving priority to one race over the other, that's not good. That's not supposed to be progressive. That sounds terrible. And also, the self-hating white man is one of the most pathetic things you'll ever see, where he talks about the crusty white dudes like himself in the field. Well, guess what? With that attitude, sir, it's no wonder you're being replaced.
Yep. Lame ass motherfuckers. Just be cool, man. At this point, if somebody like me doesn't like you, if somebody like me thinks you're lame, then your project's gonna fail. Your product's gonna fail. Everything's gonna fail. And I'm here for it. And we're just gonna point and laugh.
So no love lost there. Good to see this guy get canned. But what about Obsidian generally?
Yeah, this is exactly what I've been talking about. Like, they're just a shit cycle. This is like shitting the bed, wrapping up the sheets with the shit still in the sheets, and trying to put it in the washer and dryer, and then you still got shit everywhere. It's exactly, and then you just keep doing that without actually cleaning up the shit. You just keep throwing it in the dryer.
Well, it turns out they have canceled their plans for an Avowed sequel. Oh no,
But they're secretly working on it in the background still. And all the people who are secretly working on Avowed 2, fire them.
Told by the
If you're not focused on the main project, then get the fuck out.
games journalists and all the activists. Avowed was such a success. How could they do this? Well, anybody with eyeballs looking at the situation objectively saw this coming, but they are pivoting. They're pivoting away from Avowed, and now they're going towards a new Fallout title.
Great. It's just gonna be Outer Worlds 3, but with a Fallout skin.
Which is going to be led by New Vegas director Josh Sawyer.
Yeah, woo! Yeah, okay. This is the exact post that I thought he was gonna bring up. I shared this. This is some bullshit.
And as pointed out, this new guy here taking over the reins, he likes to own the chuds. So someone asked, how do you feel about Fallout New Vegas' reputation for cracking eggs? Now this is important. A lot of people are not terminally online enough to know what this phrase means. Cracking eggs is almost primarily used by groomers. It's situations where adults
disgusting.
take advantage of confused children and try to convince them that their insecurities or their depression or any of these sorts of things are the results of them not knowing their real identity. And to these groomers, that real identity they're pushing on them is being trans.
Wood chipper.
So when you see people bringing up this terminology,
Wood chipper.
red flags everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay? But
Yeah. These freaks are still running Obsidian.
he made a serious response to that question, saying, I don't think the game itself does that, but there are certainly a lot of trans people within our community who had pivotal experience.
Talking about his community. They're in a fucking cult. Anybody outside of the cult, whatever that they're doing, whatever they're making is not for you. And that's why these products fail. And they don't care. They will burn up that corporate money and destroy everything. And then they'll walk away laughing about it. And they'll pretend like they're having a bad time. But they'll just fail upwards and go work somewhere else. Or they'll be forgotten. But either way, they still left a path of destruction. And we tried to warn them. And they didn't listen. And they're still doing it.
Their gender identity around the time they played the game or started interacting with the community, I think it's more likely that trans people within the community created a welcoming space for other people who felt more comfortable being themselves.
You're focused on this instead of making video games. How long? How long are they going to be able to keep this up? This is definitely going to blow up in their faces. This studio is getting fucking shut down. Guaranteed. There's no way that it can survive with people like this running it. and Xbox. This is what I'm saying. Like, they're not doing what they are pretending that they're doing. They got to completely cut out all of these people because they're not focused on making games. They're focused on owning the chuds. They're focused on ritualistic child mutilation.
I don't think I can take credit for it, but I'm glad for it. Oh boy, so this guy is the new director.
I wonder for how long.
I guess he's going to be owning the chuds, but here's...
Either they're going to get rid of him soon, or they're going to have another failure, and then they're going to have to get rid of him.
The crazy part, we've seen this before. We also had this community manager for Remedy Games doing the exact same thing, talking about cracking eggs, right? We are seeing this all the time. The fact that these ghouls feel so comfortable doing this stuff and saying it publicly is crazy. And now, even more than before, I do not feel sorry for these people being fired. This stuff is a disaster in waiting. Just wait until the new Fallout game gets more attention on it.
Oh boy, I can't wait for the trailer.
These sorts of skeletons in their closet will be shined on even more. This is...
And now all the people that are going to be working on it are pissed off at Microsoft. Like, Bethesda is talking about doing some, doing a little bit of striking. Guaranteed that whatever they're going to make is not going to be up to par because they're pissed off and they're going to want to do everything they can to destroy Microsoft and ZeniMax and Bethesda because they don't actually care. They're focused on owning the chudge and transing the children.
Everything wrong with the gaming industry currently.
And that's the end of this video. You son of a bitch!